Hi and welcome back to another Message Center update with me, Mark Stokes. Just like last week, we're going to go back and roll up a number of updates into a single video. So today we're going to be talking about Microsoft Teams updates. So we've got about 10 of these to get through. A few interesting ones here, nothing really groundbreaking, but good to know what's going on. So the first one we're going to look at is multiple spotlights coming to Teams meetings, and this is Message Center MC246221. So basically what's happening is this is going to give meeting organisers the ability to spotlight up to 7 participants, so they're permanently on view in the Teams meeting. This feature will roll out from mid-April through to the end of April. And basically what this means is users, when they are the meeting presenters or organisers, they can now spotlight more participants in Teams meetings than ever before. The spotlighting of selected participants will be maintained on their videos or avatars for everyone to see until turned off by the presenter or organiser. So presenters and organisers can now start spotlight on multiple participants by accessing their context menu from the participant roster or from the stage. They can stop individual spotlights or stop all spotlights in bulk from the roster, and they can spotlight a maximum of 7 participants simultaneously during a meeting. So we can see an example in the Message Center item of 2 attendees being spotlighted by the presenter, but like I say, they'll be able to do up to 7 going forward. There's nothing to do, this feature will just be updated automatically and enabled, but you might just want to let your users know that this is something they can do within those meetings. Moving on, we have Message Center MC246220, and this is an expanded emoji picker in Microsoft Teams. So this is going to bring the ability to put more fun and expressiveness into your conversations. It took me a while to get into using emojis in a business context. But to be honest, I think it does help. It does help to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. I think now with everybody working from home, people are dressing a little bit informally on meetings as well. Then maybe bringing emojis in can also be a little bit more engaging where appropriate. So this is going to bring a lot more emojis into all of the Teams clients, so across the Teams desktop apps for Windows and Mac, Teams mobile and Android and iOS, and also Teams for the web. The rollout of this is going to begin late April and should be completed by late May, so we should see this coming out over the next few weeks. Essentially, the updated emoji picker is now going to allow you to choose up to 800 different emojis. That's up from the current number of 85 available emojis. So that is quite an increase we've got there. So there'll be a category selector, you'll be able to go through the different categories, filter, type, search as you type, things like that. Everything you would expect from an emoji picker across different platforms. Again, this will roll out and automatically be available to your users, so you might just want to let them know that this change is coming. I don't know if companies have internal newsletters just to update it. That would be useful, but a nice one to add in there. Okay, next up, so Microsoft is supporting third-party electronic signatures in the Teams approval app. In fact, I'm going to come back to this one. I'm going to read the next one first. So Microsoft is going to allow the ability to create and use approval templates in the Teams approval app. This is Message Center MC246003. So this is going to allow Teams admins and team owners who have access to out-of-the-box templates in the Teams approval app, and templates will make it easier for end users to create and submit an approval request. So this is a new app coming out, the Approvals app. So if people need to generate approvals for different things, maybe approvals for a document or approvals for a purchase request or something like that, the Approvals app is going to allow them to do that. This is going to be available as a personal app for all Microsoft Teams users, and it provides a simple way to bring auditing, compliance and accountability and workflows to both structured and unstructured approvals in Teams. The approval app templates will be generally available mid-April. So Teams admins and owners can quickly create an approval template by selecting from out-of-the-box templates or by creating one from scratch with templates within the Approvals app. They access template management via the overflow menu. As you can see, if you go into the Message Center item, you'll be able to see an example of that. So Teams admins or team owners will need to create and publish templates within the Approvals app for users to use in the business. So you might also want to notify your users, as usual, that this change is coming and is something they'll be able to make use of. There is more information in the description about managing the Teams approval app in your tenant. So that was MC246003. So slightly related to that one is Microsoft is adding support for third-party electronic signatures in the approvals app that we've just spoken about. So this is MC246004. So basically, sometimes people might need a more formal attestation, such as a signature before being able to act on an approval request. So in most cases, I find just a documented approval step is good enough for a budget request or something like that. Normally in businesses, that's enough, but sometimes we need a more formal digital signature on something. Maybe it's a contract, maybe it's an NDA, maybe it's something else that's more formal. It requires a real signature. So up until now, it's been quite difficult to do this because to actually tie into things like the Adobe Sign or DocuSign systems is actually meant uploading your template to their cloud and going through the processes and getting it signed. And it's not actually been that straightforward. I've had a number of customers who have wanted to do it. However, what Microsoft's doing now is they're actually bringing the ability to do third-party electronic signatures into the Teams approval app. Off the bat, that's going to be supported by Adobe Sign, and then hopefully going forward, they're going to be onboarding different providers as well, the likes of DocuSign, etc. So that's what we've got in here. So this is going to be available in mid-April, and this will come along with the approvals app supporting Adobe Sign. So a Teams admin needs to add a provider in there, such as Adobe Sign, and then they will need to provide some credentials into the Adobe Sign service to be used across the organization. And once those credentials are in, then that sign action will be available to people within the approvals app. So what do you need to do to prepare? So you must enable the user credentials, as I've just mentioned, and then third-party signature partners will appear in the Teams approval app by default. Should a Teams admin disable a provider, end users will not see the provider when creating an approval, and then you can disable providers during the public preview period. As I say, Adobe Sign is the first partner that Microsoft expects to onboard DocuSign soon, and they will communicate that to the new Message Center post, so obviously I will update you when that happens. Okay, moving on. So the next one up, Microsoft Teams is to allow only organisation participants to bypass the meeting lobby. This is Message Center MC246000. So this change is going to add another option of who can bypass the meeting lobby. So basically you can allow organisation participants to automatically enter the meeting, where guest or external users will still be required to wait in the lobby until they are admitted access. Rollout to this will begin in late March, so any time now, and should be completed by early April. So this rollout should be visible in your tenant over the next couple of weeks. How will this affect your organisation? So currently meeting organisers can choose to allow or select users to bypass the meeting lobby, and this update will allow meeting organisers to allow only organisation members to bypass. Nothing you need to do to prepare for this, nothing you need to turn on or turn off, just maybe let your users know that that's a setting they are able to do within their Teams meetings. So next we have, the Teams desktop, for Teams desktop. Date-time format will match Mac and Windows OS language settings. So this is Message Center MC245826. With this update at the moment, the language settings are taken from the application language, but this update will allow the date-time formats in Teams to match the Mac or Windows OS regional settings of the desktop. This will make more sense for users because it will be more consistent across with other applications. So I think this is quite a nice update for them to do, quite a subtle one, but definitely will be good for people's consistency. So standard and GCC rollout will start mid-April, and then that will complete in late April. So we'll start to see that happen in updates in a couple of weeks' time. So how will it affect your organization? If users in your organization have regional settings set to a language different than the application language, then their date and time formatting will now reflect the appropriate date time format of the operating system. So people will see changes. The change is going to be presented to them, not something that they're going to select. So you might just want to make them aware that this is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Next, we have PowerPoint Live in Teams, slide translation. I quite like this update. So this is Message Center MC245302. This was published on March the 19th. This is going to offer a new slide translation feature in Microsoft Teams desktop client, and this will enable all meeting attendees to translate a presentation content presented via PowerPoint Live in a Teams meeting into a language of their choice while in private view. So this will begin rolling out in early April and should be completed by late April. So how will this affect your organization? So meeting attendees will see the slide translation feature when the presenter uses PowerPoint Live in a Teams meeting, and each meeting attendee will be able to convert the slideshow content into one of 19 languages of their preference. This unique experience will only occur for the user requesting slide translation without interrupting the presenter or any other attendees in the meeting. So the 19 languages available will be Arabic, French, Irish, Russian, Chinese Simplified, Chinese Traditional, German, Italian, Spanish, Greek, Japanese, Thai, Dutch, Hebrew, Korean, Turkish, English, Hindi and Portuguese. So there's a little, shows you where in the Message Center item, shows you where the language selector will be. I think that's going to be useful. I think this is great because we're looking at a lot of making the world smaller but trying to protect people's languages and heritages. So I think this is a really nice feature to let international teams work together and actually have automatic translation of content. This stuff's coming a long way to some kind of universal translator, so people can work in their own language but collaborate with a wider team of people. Next on, we have Microsoft Teams supporting outgoing video in Safari. So this is Message Center MC245301. This was published on the 19th of March. And essentially, this is an update for macOS Safari 14 and higher. Up until now, some of the Microsoft Teams web calling and meeting features were not supported on Safari, such as users were unable to use their camera for outgoing video. So now with Safari 14 and higher, Microsoft will enable new web app features to allow macOS users to use their camera during meetings in Safari. So this is going to be great. I didn't actually realise this was not possible up until now. I'm quite surprised. Safari is actually pretty good at doing video stuff in my experience. So I'm a little bit surprised I've not been able to do it till now. But going forward, yeah, macOS is getting some love, and you'll be able to use your video in meetings going forward. Also, rollout of that will begin and complete late March. So that update should come through anytime now, I guess. Last one for Microsoft Teams. This is Teams and Forms combined. So we're getting some new features in Teams polls in meetings. This is Message Center MC245021. This was published on March the 18th. And by integrating Teams and the Forms app, Microsoft have created a new way for meeting presenters to poll attendees. Adding a Forms poll in Teams meetings uses the customized meeting experience outlined in MC224434. And with this update, polls in Teams meeting will now support guests and provide an optimized mobile experience. Rollout of this should begin mid-April. It should be completed by late April. So we'll see this start to come out in a couple of weeks. And this is going to allow anonymous and guest attendees to view the poll and vote just like registered users. So previously anonymous attendees voting on a poll in a meeting. Previously anonymous attendees vote on a poll in meeting chat. Okay, yeah, got it. So this update will be available for Teams desktop apps, Teams on the web, and Teams mobile. Yeah, so this is just going to show the poll slightly better. Again, if you go into the Message Center item, I'll put a link in as well. You can see some examples of what it's going to look like. But it's going to be a much nicer experience for people coming in with guest access. Maybe if you're doing webinars and things like that, then this will be useful. So what you need to do is prepare. So meeting organisers can set who should be the presenter when creating a meeting or after a meeting has begun. And if you would like to manage who in your tenant should be have the presenter role, then just adjust the default value of who can present setting in Microsoft Options in the Teams client. If you do not want presenters in your tenant to be able to poll meeting attendees using the Forms app, then you can block the app in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. Okay, so that's it. That's all the updates that we have over the last week for Microsoft Teams. I hope that's useful. I'm definitely keen to hear back on this format of doing a number of updates in one go. I'll try and schedule some tweets with the individual updates as well to get a bit more awareness of it. But yeah, I'm very interested. Please do leave me some comments. Get in touch with me at Mark Stokes. Do you find these updates useful? Do you want me to change the way that we do it? Go back to the individual ones again. But yeah, I hope that's useful for you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you.